Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome. It's so good to see everybody. I'm so happy to see you today. Today, I thought I would do something really fun on the podcast. We don't do this very often, but I thought I would take a moment to literally do a beginner's guide to stock market investing. A lot of you may have already started investing in stocks, and maybe you want a refresher. Some of you are afraid of investing or haven't done it yet. Maybe I can be the person that can make it easy for you. So what I'm going to do is spend a few minutes going through some basics on stock market investing, and hopefully this will help you move forward. Now, the first thing I will tell you is that if you want to know my background, number one, I've been a finance professor for a very long time. That's what my PhD is in. I've taught finance at the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, Syracuse University. I also taught in China, actually, back in 2006, and in Europe as well, the Center for European Economic Research. So, and all that was before we created the Black Business School in 2015. And in the Black Business School, we have successfully helped over 10 million people buy their first share of stock. So I'm very, very proud of that. Very, very happy about that. Now, here's the deal. If you want to know about the stock market, what is the stock market? Let's start there with the basics. The stock market is basically, it's like a grocery store. Basically, a grocery store is where you have a market, and you have buyers and sellers, and you have stuff that you can buy and stuff that you can sell, like a farmer's market or something like that. So the farmers come in and they bring in their cows and pigs and chickens and lettuce, and then you have the buyers come in, and they come in and they buy stuff, and people trade stuff. Well, the stock market is the same way. It's just where a bunch of people gather and they trade stocks. They trade, instead of commodities or food, they're actually trading. Well, they do actually trade commodities, duh. But the actual stock market, they're trading ownership shares in companies, little pieces of a company. So if you own a share of stock, you effectively own a piece of a company. I cannot tell you how important stock market investing and ownership is in terms of your family wealth. Every single study I ever saw basically said that families that invest consistently in the stock market have more wealth than families that don't. So give me a yes if you follow what I'm saying. If you agree with me, if I have convinced you that stock market investing is critical if you want to build wealth in this country, particularly when you're talking about high inflation. You're talking about a country that also has workers' wages that are going down, down, down. You want to own a piece of these companies that are going to benefit. And now that you got artificial intelligence on the scene, it's kind of a wrap. Artificial intelligence is literally going to increase the wealth gap. It's going to increase the wealth gap. In addition, some other factors that increase the wealth gap, things like inflation increase the wealth gap. Technology increases the wealth gap. What was the other piece that was coming to mind? Globalization increases the wealth gap. Uh, Weaker governmental systems where politicians aren't really working for the little guy anymore. Politicians are working for the corporations. That increases the wealth gap. So it's only going to continue to get worse. So you want to get on the fast train instead of trying to ride the slow train, or even trying to run on foot and keep it up with the train. I don't want you to get left behind. So one thing I can offer you to help you get started, to make things easy for you, is if you go to my website, boycewatkins.com. I've got a list right there at the top of AI stocks that I believe are going to do well in the future. So feel free to go grab that list and take a look at some of those stocks. And if you buy a few of those shares and just buy a little bit every week and do an accumulation process, it will benefit you financially. Some other basic terminology, stock market investing, might include things like a dividend. Well, what's a dividend? And all a dividend is when a company makes money. Remember, a company share, the people that run the company don't really own the company. As a stockholder, you are an owner of the company. So there are thousands and thousands and thousands of owners, and the owners tell the managers what to do. You tell the CEO what to do, but that goes through the board of directors. So the board of directors represents all the shareholders, and they tell the company what to do. They can fire the CEO, they can pick a new vice president, things like that. So effectively, what happens is that when you talk about stock market investing, the a dividend it pops up when the company makes a bunch of money. They have two things they can do with this money. They can either reinvest it in the company to make the company grow, and that's what they tend to do with smaller companies, or they can give the money back as a dividend. And in fact, if the company isn't able to invest the money properly, if the shareholders don't believe that they can do something good with that money, the shareholders will sometimes come together and demand that the CEO or that the board of directors authorizes a dividend so that they can actually distribute that money as opposed to keeping it within the company. So the other thing is maybe ticker symbol. Let's talk about that. What's a ticker symbol? A ticker symbol is basically just a little code that represents that company and represents that stock. Now, I want to show you guys something really quick that will sort of show you why stock market investing is something you just don't want to miss out on. If you hit the thumbs up button while I do that, I'd appreciate it. Give me 1 second here. Here we go. Let me pull this up. I want to show you something. This is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now, if you're watching me on TikTok, what's up, everybody on TikTok? You won't be able to see it, but I'll describe it to you. So look at this chart, right? This is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is one indicator of where the stock market is right now. And if you look at the last month, it's red. Red means that it's gone down. And you see here the Dow is at 32,000. That's just an index. It's a mathematical index. The math is not important, but the Dow is an important indicator of how well the market's doing. Well, if you go back, say 5 years, though, you see that it becomes green again. So that means that if you'd invested consistently over the last 5 years in a diversified, spread out basket of stocks, you would have made about 35% on your money. So in a way, you can compare it. It's almost like, let's say you bought a house for $100,000 5 years ago. That house will be worth $135,000. So you would have made that extra $35,000 without doing any work, except instead of buying the house, you're buying stock. And if you go further back and you look at Max, you can see here, if you go back to say, I don't know, let's look at 2010. 2010, which was 13 years ago, the Dow was at 11,203. Since that time, the number has tripled. So that means literally that if you started investing, say 13 years ago, your money would have tripled. And the beautiful part of it is that you wouldn't have actually had to do any work in order for your money to triple. So the reason stock market investing is really important is because a lot of people live under the myth that I was raised with. The myth I was raised with was that you have to work in order to make money, that if you don't work, you don't eat. And the more you work, the more money you're supposed to make. And then you would see things that would happen in the world that didn't make sense. Like if the more you work should connect to how much money you make, then why would a hardworking school teacher make less money than a Hollywood actor? And then I started learning that it's not just about how hard you work, it's what you're actually doing with that work or what kind of skill you actually have. So what I realized over time is that the people that make the most money in this country are actually not the people who are working the hardest. It's the people who are working the least in a lot of cases. So stock market investing is one of those little things that, if you put that as sort of part of the culture in your family, you'll get in this habit of making money without working. So literally, if you go to my website, boycewatkins.com, and you scroll down, you'll see where I have a little training there. It's totally free. It's called How to Make Money Without Working. It's a great training I put together. Everybody loves it. Go take a look at that. And I guarantee it's going to change your whole worldview in terms of how this stuff looks. Now, what I'm going to do at the end, if you stick to the end of the video, I'll give you a couple of stocks that I personally am invested in. This might be something to get you started. This is not investing advice, but it's something that I'll just share with you in hopes that this helps you in the process. Let's talk about types of stocks. Well, a lot of you have heard, how many of you have heard things like common stock and preferred stock? Have any of you heard of that? Give me a yes if you've heard of common stock and preferred stock. And I see Tiana says, I'm reading your new book and I'm enjoying it while I'm taking notes. Oh, are you talking? I don't know which. Oh, you're talking about the new book. Yeah. I do have a new book. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It's on Amazon, and I'm proud to say it was the #1 bestseller for several weeks in the finance category. So that's pretty cool. And then I also have another series called Black American Money. This is something I started way back when I was on the faculty of Syracuse, and I have a part 1, part 2, part 3. So you can feel free to go look up Black American Money on Amazon if you want to go take a look at that. All right. So common stock and preferred stock. It's interesting because when I heard about preferred stock, I used to think that preferred stock was special and better than common stock. Like I used to think that if I had preferred stock, I was preferred, like I was special, right? I'm better than the commoners who have the common stock. And that's just not really the case. Common and preferred stock, in my view, are just two different types of stock that have different characteristics. Now, one way preferred stock is kind of preferred is that is that preferred shareholders do get paid before the common shareholders get when it comes to the release of dividends, or if the company goes bankrupt or something like that. But that's not really, to me, as interesting as the fact that with common stock, you have the benefit that if you own common stock, you get to vote. You get to vote on the direction of the company. So when you become a stock owner, another reason why it's very important and very exciting, like if you get your kids, as into owning stock at an early age, is that when the company makes a decision, they have to ask your permission. They'll send you something in the mail or on email or something and say, hey, Disney is thinking about acquiring, this studio. We need your vote. Like, what do you vote for? And you can actually vote on this type of stuff. Common shareholders can vote. Preferred shareholders don't have a vote, but preferred shareholders are preferred in when it comes to the payment of dividends. So if the company only has so much money to give out in the dividend, they'll give the preferred dividend over the common dividend. The common shareholders get paid sort of after everybody else gets paid. So you kind of get whatever's left over. The preferred shareholders and then the bond holders are kind of ahead of the common stockholders. So that's kind of just something that's there. Now, someone's asking, do you invest in crypto? Yeah, I invest extensively in crypto. Let me tell you a little secret. I just bought shares in the company. Let me give you the first company I bought shares in. Crap. It's called Bit something. Yeah, I wish I could tell you. I'm so sorry. I saw an interview with the CEO. It's a crypto mining company. Well, let me just say this. Instead of because I can't remember the name of the company, buying Bitcoin, I think is I just really believe that buying Bitcoin is going to be a winner long term. I can't. Is it BTT? Yeah, I think the ticker might have been BTT. Look up BTT. I can't promise you though, but I think this is what it was. But let me just tell you, everything I'm reading is telling me that Bitcoin is going to kick butt over the next decade. Like I'd be shocked if it didn't. And the reason I restrain myself when I say this is because nothing is guaranteed. And the thing is that a lot of people, you ever notice how the people who know the least are the ones who act like they know the most. Like the biggest idiot is the one who's the most confident in what they believe, right? Whereas the person who actually knows what's going on, like becoming a professor meant that the first thing I learned was how little we actually know. So I always question my knowledge base, right, before I spit it out. I think carefully about what I say. Whereas I'll see idiots that'll just blab something with complete confidence, not knowing what the hell they're talking about. So the reason I say that is because if I say that Bitcoin's going to explode, and I believe it's going to explode, and I'm buying tons of it because of that, um, let's say that something goes wrong. Let's say Bitcoin doesn't do what I expect. There will always be somebody who says, "See, that shows you don't know what you're talking about. He said Bitcoin was going to go up and it didn't go up, or he said that stock was a good stock and it didn't go." That's like somebody watching a basketball game and saying, well, he said he's a good player, but I saw him take a shot and he missed a shot. And then I saw him miss two shots in a row. So he's a terrible player. That's not the way the game works. So let me just say this. I think Bitcoin is a great investment. I just really feel like Bitcoin is just set to blow up when the economy is fine, when the banking system's okay again and everything's okay. Don't be surprised if you see Bitcoin creeping up to the 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, 100,000, 200,000. There are people talking about Bitcoin going up to 1 million. I kid you not. So I'm not a person who's ever going to put more than 10% of my portfolio on crypto, but I am going to invest in crypto consistently, and Bitcoin is one of my favorites. So I digress. Let's get back to it. What I'll do is at the end I'll also name a couple stocks that may help you in your investing journey. All right. So last couple things I'll throw in there is that when you start investing, you got to make sure you remember some basic, simple rules, and you'll do just fine. One is never put all your eggs in one basket. You never, ever get so excited about one stock or one investment that you just put everything into one company. That's a bad idea. Also, long-term investing tends to be the most consistent and the most reliable. Nobody can tell you if a stock is going to go up or down next week or next month. They can guess, but it's hard to really know. But what people can tell you is general things. Like they can tell you that a certain industry is going to do well. Like that electric vehicles are going to blow up. That artificial intelligence is going to be huge. Things like that. So what you do is by diversifying, you're leaning on the big things that you do know instead of trying to guess at the small things that you don't know for sure. So the other piece here is keep it simple. One of the reasons that people hesitate to invest is because they think that it's complicated. They get scared. Don't let that fear stop you. Go to again, if you go to my website, I have something there called the $5 a day investing plan. Or if you want it in book form, it's a tiny little book that I put on Amazon too. You can go to Amazon and find the book, or you can go to my website and get the ebook for free. It's totally up to you. And my website's boycewatkins.com. And basically, the math works out so beautifully that if you consistently buy about $40 worth of stock every week, and you don't sell the stock that you buy, in 25 to 30 years, you'll have more money than 80 to 90% of most Americans. And then you can, if you have kids, you can give that to your kids. Your kids will never have to work again if they're smart. They'll never have to work. A person with $200,000 in the bank doesn't have to get up and go to work, because remember, the difference between freedom and slavery for most people is about $5,000 a month. So if they know how to make $5,000 a month without going to a factory or without going to an office, then they're free. They're literally they're cut from the corporate plantation. They can go live their best life and do all the things that God put them on this earth to do, other than sitting there next to their boss and being mistreated every day. Don't subject your kids to that abuse. Invest consistently. Set your portfolio on autopilot. So give me a yes if you can do this for me. I'm asking you. I'm really asking you. I'm asking on behalf of your kids. I'm asking on behalf of your future self. If you could give me a confirmation yes that you're going to go and do this, if you aren't doing it already, pick some amount that you can afford and just invest that amount every week on autopilot, and then don't sell the stock that you buy. Just let it sit there, let it grow. Don't pick at it, let it grow. And this will pull you out of the mix financially. You will separate from the pack. Most of us don't have a base, an asset base, because no one ever did that for us. But if someone had done that for you, all your financial problems would actually go away. So this is $5 a day plan is something I've talked about for years in the Black Business School. I like it because it's super simple. You don't have to think about you don't have to overthink it, and literally you could watch this video, apply that one basic rule, and never talk to me again, and your family wealth will be higher than 80-90% of all Americans in a couple of decades. Now, what sites do I like in terms of buying stock? What apps? My favorite apps, I think, I really actually like Robinhood and the simplicity of it. I know some people like it, some people don't. I like the simple stuff. Acorns and Stash are good. The Acorns and Stash give you natural diversification. You got some of the more complex setups with like E-Trade and Fidelity and TD Ameritrade. Those are good ones too. So if you want to buy things like the S&P 500, or if you want to just sort of spread your money out instantly, one ticker symbol is VOO. VOO is the Vanguard S&P 500 fund. And what VOO will do is it will spread your money out amongst like leading companies in America. Another one, I think the ticker symbol is SPY. SPY. That's another. I think that's the S&P 500 ETF. And then the last one is some of you, because of things like inflation, would like to invest in gold, which gold actually has done pretty well in the last 5 years. If you want to invest in gold, one way to invest in gold is not to buy the bars, that you see on TV, or go down to the Federal Reserve and bring home like all this weighty stuff. You can actually get on your app and look up a ticker symbol, GLD. GLD is the ticker symbol for the S&P 500, or the Gold Trust ETF. I think it's called Gold Trust or something like that. But it's gold. It's connected to gold. There you go. So I hope that answers your question. All right. So let me also give you one more stock that I like that I'm going to that I just bought shares in this morning. I just bought shares in Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is a company that I believe is going to be strong, particularly after issues in the banking system go away. And another company that I'm going to buy shares in is a company called Crescent Point Energy. That ticker symbol is CPG. CPG, Crescent Point Energy, and Goldman Sachs. Ticker symbol is GS. or even JP Morgan Chase is another good bank. I think that is just, likely to be strong long term. Okay, so that's it, guys. That I hope that this helps you. This is something I just wanted to do. God told me to do it today, so I decided to come in and do kind of a quick tutorial on investing for beginners to kind of get you started. Share this video with your friends and family if you want to. That's totally fine. Also, I'm going to do a stock options training camp pretty soon in the Black Business School. It's a few days from now. If you're watching this live, if you're not watching it live, just go to my website. There'll be other stuff. But if you go to boycewatkins.com, right at the top is the link to the stock options training camp. So if stocks are comfortable for you and you want to learn about options, I think that's the logical next step. Stock options are the coolest, funnest thing in the world. And it's really cool and fun when you understand what's going on. I love teaching stock options. I've been teaching it for 20 something years, and I love to talk to you guys about it too. So I hope you have a great day. God bless you. Thank you for listening. And I will see you soon. Take care now. Peace.